Welcome now to another episode of Gunpla and Chill, specifically Gundam Wingsday. Happy Wednesday to everybody joining in tonight. Thank you for standing by as we're getting started up here a little bit. As well, hopefully your work week or school week has been going good so far. I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad to also be working on a new kit. So part of our pairing that we had the V8 and Mercurius. V8 is done. For the most part, I got a little bit of scratches on the way back from my most previous work trip, and that being the case, got to do a little bit of repairs. Just mainly in the paints though itself, so it's actually all good in that front. But nonetheless, though, I'm looking to jump into Mercurius now, and super excited. We're actually going to very similar fashion start with the head and the torso, and then jump into jump on into the defense shield that it comes with. So these are the defense parts. There's lots of them, lots of duplication going on here that we're gonna finish up. And oh yes, little beam saber, and it's pretty cool. Like, I want to say rapier style beam weapon. It's kind of intrigues me, so I'm excited to see how that kind of all turns out there to finish it up. But lots of things to duplicate here. We did sadly end up with a broken part on V8, and the great news is though is that there's actually a duplicate. So we have that to go ahead and replace the one that got broken in the kit itself while we were trying to move the what is it called, the charging unit for the mega beam rifle that it has. That's what kind of got snapped off just by twisting it. Happened really because I painted the joint thinking that it might need a little bit more tightening. Yeah, it was actually literally too much for it. So I'm not going to make the same mistake twice, so we're not going to paint that part, but we are going to attach it to the Gundam and hand paint just the areas that are seen. That way we make sure that that does not happen again. And we're going to jump in here first off. You see we've got the two different head units. But we're going with the V8, so it's the Mercurius one, which is all the reds. It's just such a fun pairing. I'm glad that they made them the red and blue that they did. Really good contrast considering we got a lot of grayscale and then that army grain for the Leo units. This was a really, how to say, a popper when it came out for the mobile suits in the show for these ones. Note as well, like the turning bicep area just below the shoulder is like super tight on this unit. I don't know if it's because of the paint or just it was built really tight. So if you are planning or you have these kits in your backlog, that is something to be looking out for specifically. But without any further ado, we're going to start getting those headpieces ready to go. And this is a pretty red to start out with, but red does leave a lot of nub marks in the first place. You want to go ahead and make sure that you're going to paint these bad boys. So just like we painted the blue for the exact same reason, nub marks are definitely going to show. We are gonna have to paint everything. These pink ones, not so much. The nub marks would be pretty close to invisible and blend in, even after some sanding and stuff. But we're gonna go ahead and paint these though too. We're gonna make it the same red that this is, but we're gonna add a massive amount of white to it to go along with it. We did not paint this interior piece right here on V8, so that means that we're not going to do it here on Mercurius as well. But we are going to look for that antenna, this special version of the V-fin. It's nice that we've already built most of this unit in a different way. Kind of know what we're already looking for. And I can't stop yawning. That kind of day. That kind of day. So this is going to be actually my technical first kit of 2022 that we're doing right now. Vega 8 didn't count because Vega 8 was a carryover. But as this is not a carryover, and we're starting it fresh, only difference is we've already got the eyes on it from previously. Just makes that process go so much faster. I appreciate that Bandai put in 2 versions of both of these fins. It would be really cool if you wanted them to both have that very similar mirroring appearance for this. Totally could do that. In addition, I love the fact that in case if they get broken while you're trying to do some sanding, because we don't really like those extra bit of nub space right there and those little clip spots right in addition right here as well. I like them to be nice and sharp and pointed. Same with all my V-fins, so all those safety marks, they're going bye-bye. As a matter of fact, that's what we're going to work on first. I'm going to show you that in a little bit better detail. There's that yawn again. Hopefully it's not too contagious while you're watching as well. Alright, so that's what we're going to be working on, and that's going to be one of our main focuses of this evening. It's getting this all nice and pointed. I got a nice straight sandpaper right here to go with it. We're going to clip it off right there. Same on the other side. Just enough. And now you can see we're in a pretty good state at this point. We still want to be very gentle. We don't want to go all the way to it. We're going to let the sandpaper do the work. But pretty close. And clipping off the back end. This is a 400 grit that we're going with right now. It's aggressive, but it's not too aggressive for what we've got going on here. We're getting rid of a bunch of plastic. We're not smoothing it out, we're actually leveling it out. Really big difference. So a heavy grit is not a bad way to go here. And you can see it's almost leveled out already. And we're gonna let even like the next level grit do the rest of the leveling out there. And if you can see, there's like a little bit of that little unsanded spot. That's your guide to let you know when you are leveled out or not. When it is sanded down, you are pretty much level. Now granted, it may be slanting a little bit at that stage, but that's where our next level grit is going to come into play. So I'm going to jump over to my sanding sponges here. this 240 is not as heavy as the 400 and that other sandpaper. Maybe it's because of the use that is already on this 240. But you can see though that we're getting a nice good point, leveling it out across the board there. Alright, there's that. $400 level. Glitching out there a little bit, it sounded like, with the music. And that should just about do it. We got one more level of grit here, 800. It's very comparable to about 1,000 though. Maybe even 1,200 grit for some other ones. This is just, these god hands kind of like that. But they definitely get it ready for painting at this stage. The texture is real nice for painting with this 800 grit that they've got going on. And you can see now we've got it all evened out, pointed, and it is definitely in the shape that we want it to be in. Alright, that's going to go into... Oh, did I not clip it out? How about that? I did not clip it out. Clipped out all the parts, all the other parts of the head, just not that one. How humorous. I started to though. And drop me a comment or a remark if you've got, like, at your hobby store, a reasonable priced impulse, force impulse specifically, real grade. I am looking for one for a kit bash, and I'm looking to show that actually relatively soon. Somebody gifted me for some reason the P-Bandite version of the high grade blast impulse, because I was talking about doing a kit bash with those two, and when that came in, to my utter shock, needless to say, and super excited to see it, I gotta now find a way to get my hands on a real grade, because I want to make a real grade blast impulse, and that'll make the trifecta of the impulse Gundam. I've already got sword. Impulse is actually right up over here. You can't see it, sorry, the chair is blocking the way. But actually, from Sea Destiny, that is by far my favorite suit. I love its design layout. Not a huge fan of its modular features, but its design is superb. And then the different attachments are pretty cool. But not the modular layout, like the different backpacks. Alright, there's our top of the head piece with a true Let's call it a U-fin, maybe? U-fin, V-fin. Clean up the rest of the head here for painting. You've already set this all together too on Bay 8, and we know that it paints well. So we're going to leave it almost exactly as is. There's no like cleanup here for the head that we need to do to go ahead and make it ready for painting. It is good to go from the start. The only problem is of course those nubs. And this is why we kind of have to paint it. If you see here, I know the light's a little bit harsh, but we definitely have a nub mark showing out, and that's even after sanded. That piece is not going to be painted. There is a sticker that goes on that. It's never going to be seen on my kit, but if you want to show it off on yours for the extra head attachment, by all means, apply that sticker for it. This sits up underneath. This does have a sticker that we will be using, the green HoloLens. It's just so much easier to paint it. I mean, it's easier to manage that way with it, even with its painting. And it looks good. It looks quite good, as a matter of fact. Go in here, just cleaning up those nubs. Yeah, those nubs are practically invisible. Those nub markings, I can't see them at all. So you could leave this unpainted, untouched, outside of just your base sanding here. If you did leave it untouched, just buff it a little bit. Alright, that's ready. Final piece, and as a matter of fact, I want to show you guys this too. I actually made a really good solution for like mending some parts, and this is for some seam repairs. And to give you an example of like what it did, this is a rebuild kit that I've been working on. Kids built it originally, but there was a lot of damage specifically on this seam, and you can see we've actually made it a solid piece now. There was really big gaps with trying to separate it because it was super glued together, but it's now solid and needs its final buffing stages of sanding, but it finished it up. Real easy to make. I use the extra thinner, and just grab some nub pieces. Like that's all you have to do is grab some of these nub pieces, put them in there, and cover them with like double the amount of extra layer of cement there, of the extra thin cement, excuse me, and it'll make a nice good solution. And so I have been using that. I do also use disposable brushes for it. Unless you're going to use real hair brushes, I would not recommend that though, because it still doesn't treat them very well for long periods of time. This is designed to obviously harden up and make plastic come together again. Since I wanted it to be white, I just grabbed a leftover white runner from a different suit that I had in the almost ready to go into the full dumpster. I keep this aside just in case things happen. But if not, you can really use any color, especially if you're going to paint over it. But it's a great way to help with any repairs, or you need to fill in some space on a Gundam. Use that, sand it down, and you will not see very much difference. Alright. That is all of our parts that we need ready to go for the face. I mean, for the head unit. They're all ready to paint. That means we are jumping on over to the torso. Now the torso, we did find out had a slight issue with it, and that is the shoulder pieces do connect with a terrible seam line, and that will need to be fixed. So we're going to start out by cutting out our pink. And then our actual body. Our body pieces here. Interesting choice in the show that they showed like Mercurius was mostly done, at least the body of the unit when they first introduced it, and they were working on the defense system. So they showed the full body of Mercurius, but was delaying on the body for the V8. But the way that the scientists talked about it in the show, it sounded as if they went the V8 route first. That was, hey, we're gonna think of how can we give the biggest rifle on a mobile suit and then defend against it. And that's why they came up with the Mercurius system in the first place, according to the shows, was based upon the V8's beam rifle. It just was interesting. Why did they go fully with making the body for V8 and not actually with Mercurius instead of finishing the V8 first? The big thing that I thought about was they had an idea of what the mobility was based upon the already existing Leos. They were basing that mobility piece upon the Leos. Leos, you know, they get a bad rep obviously by the show, but they were really a sound grunt suit in general. There's a really good YouTube video about like the top grunt suits from Gundam series, and yeah, the Leo is really high up there. It's just so versatile. Anyway, long story short is that they're like, hey, what's this beam rifle? Let's make that top part of it so that I can hold it, and let's build something to defend against it. That's what the conversation seemed like, at least for me. And there is our seam line that we have to repair. How are we going to do that? Good old scribing. This goes underneath here. We are going to sand down that back piece real quickly. Kind of wonder why they say to add that on last, but they do. Alright. This does get really, really tight here. And I'm going to look at V8 real quick for size comparison. and location comparison. Yeah, we're gonna look one more time. It's just so close that it's hard to tell which side we went with, but after further deliberation and evaluation as well, I've come to the conclusions that the backside is whole. So I'm cutting off just a bunch of scribing tape right here. It is placed now on my table, and I'm just cutting off a little bit smaller pieces there afterwards. And we need to go all around. The top being the priority though. And making it parallel here with the top seam. And then wrapping it around to make sure it's parallel there. And same on the other side. Alright. One side down. A little bit too thick as a matter of fact. This is actually the thickest one, and we're about middle ground here. So this is our 0.6 millimeters is what we're gonna go with for this scribe. Oh, and if you're looking for good new tools, New Type HQ is got some MadWorks scribing tools just in. That's brand new in stock. Some new heads, so if you've already got a chisel for new MadWorks, you're able to get a few more different heads applied with it as well. Now I'm going to be easy. Let the guide tape do the work. Ooh, it's a little bit uneven right here, so we're going to pull it up. Scribing is still all about being nice and easy. Let's get in here and watch this. right? Here's actually the hardest part because there's just not a lot of room. And sorry if you can't see it. It's just that there's so little room here with the actual piece here in the way. Now sadly for this one, I am not counting out the number of scrapes that I'm doing. I'm literally just going with what looks right this time around. Reason being is that there's a lot of angles here still too. So we're just getting it to look all the same depth. And that should be enough of that. Yeah, came out really solid. Nice good panel, nice good scribe line in there. This is where really hard though, because you're supposed to definitely go both directions with your scribe lines. Going this opposite direction here, it's just so hard because of the angle of the interior portion. Alright, there we go. One side is done. Gonna finish it up by going with a 400 grit. Just sanding it down, leveling it out just a little bit here. We're also gonna do that to get rid of the nub marks that we have in the middle of the arm, middle of the joints. I have to go a little bit lower right here. Those nubs did not want to go away easy. And to finish off that little scribing piece and sanding job, take a good old fashioned toothbrush, an old one. Clean out the line. And there it is. Got our scribe. Fixing that seam. Gonna go ahead and cut some more scribe tape here. Or guide tape. go. Looks nice and solid. In the words, the announcer for Street Fighter, round 2, ready, hi! Oh, and it's a little bit off. It's that bend that makes that area right here just a little bit off. Alright, there we go. And now we get to that really hard and awkward spot once again. I guess it's awkward, but also it's just visually impairing. If it looks bad in your view, just imagine it's like here too. It's about the same. It's just feel like I'm looking through the peephole of the other arm. Or the socket joint for that piece. Alright, there we go. I definitely feel like this Mercurius is going by way faster than V8. I mean, that's usually the case when you get like a duplicate kit like this. Duplicate kit, what I mean by that is, you know, two of the same, even though you're altering it, or it's going to be a little bit different. That second go around is just, it's quick. It's quick. It's a good feeling too. It's a good feeling to be like, man, I'm just going to do this one, and it's looking just as good, if not better than the last. I already know what I'm doing, what I'm targeting on. It's a good feeling. Good feeling. So, and I imagine, I mean, this is also cool, is that, to me, I mean, these pieces, I know how and where we're going to paint them and make them look like they're going to be looking good and everything. The only problem is, and I'm sure some of you guys are having the same issue, it's a little bit cold for painting. And that is kind of a bummer. Unless you're painting inside. Which if you are, make sure you have good airflow to vent out. Definitely if you're painting with Tamiya's, or heaven forbid you're painting with enamels inside, that's really tough on you. Alright. Ooh! Harder than I like it to be. But all of our major scribe work is done for the torso. Getting rid of, or not getting rid of, getting the nubs off of the pink piece. And it's definitely gonna need some sanding down from those nubs. They were really thick, they're surprisingly thick. Okay. Let's see, we need to get got these top steel pieces. Go like that. We're going to get out the shoulder joints. One on each side. These actually don't need to be cleaned up or anything. All of it's going to be hidden for the most part. And same with these pieces right here. Alright, let's make sure we didn't miss anything for the torso here. I don't think so. Oh, the bottom torso pieces. Yes, we did. And let's see where it's at. We need A6 and A8. Alright, so we are done with all the pieces that we need cut out for the torso specifically. We are going to really skip ahead though to look at how the defense shields attach to the back. I am very, very curious about this process in general, just to make sure I do have the extra piece that I need. Haven't cut it out and committed it, and that is great news because it is not there. I'm super grateful that there's extra though. We are looking at these. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this out. And put it with my Mercurius. I mean, aside from my Mercurius. Yeah, wow, there's 3 extra ones? I have 2 extra ones? It's crazy. Seems excessive. I like it. Alright, so that will be our next thing that we'll be working on after I'm going to take these out to the paint. We'll take these and paint these up. We're going to work on the Planet Defensors is what they're called. So we have, wow, it's crazy to think that he's carrying that many. The Mercurius is carrying 10 of them. So we have to build 10 sets of these, and I won't bore you with that. I'll build the rest and then I'll show you what we're going to do for the other ones. Now, what is an interesting note to call out though is that there's a singular sticker inside of here. That's going to be on both sides. I think it's actually yellow and black, which make a very interesting paint challenge. Ooh. We'll have to look at this in a little bit more detail. But indeed, the stickers are yellow and black. So we'll see how that actually plays itself out. But that is going to be a next week's problem. Let's go ahead and give a sneak peek at that. Planning that out. Oh, ooh, yeah. That is a toughie. The detail is definitely there. I don't like the sticker option, but the paint is going to be difficult too. I think we'll have to do a reverse wash. It's going to take some work to get these right, to get these real right. Here's my thought. We'll go over it again next week, but we have to paint this whole thing yellow first, or the color that we're going with. Yellow. It's like a yellow goldish color. So paint the inner circle here yellow goldish. Ooh, it's not the same on both sides, so it's only one side we have to paint. Yellow goldish. Seal it over. And then after we seal it over, let it dry for maybe even let it cure over for at least we'll do it for like a whole week though, just to make sure. Seal it over. Give it one more sealing, as a matter of fact, during that time. And then afterwards, we'll paint it black with then doing a reverse washing just right here around these edges to expose that yellow. It is slightly raised up inside of here, and I imagine that's what's actually needing to be yellow. And so we'll have to just be very, very easy with our reverse washing just to get that off. So, should work out okay. We'll try it out. We'll see. Hopefully it comes out pretty good. But overall, we got 8 of these to build. It's going to be quite the process. It does come with some amazing stands, though. It comes with 2 sets of these stands, and this is all just for holding those planetary defensors. So it's going to look... We have some options there to go with it. It's going to be super fun, and next time we'll really get jumping into building Mercurius's weapons. That's going to be our next stage. Oh, there you go. Needs to be sanded down a little bit. But yeah, we're going to snap those in and paint them together this time. Learn from the mistakes. That way the joints stay nice and loose, because they got way too tight. And thus the breaking point. But we're going to call it a night. It is 10 p.m. Central Time. Hope you had a good night, and once again taking this time to chill with me with some Gundam Wingsday. More Gundam Wing kits coming your way, more Gundam building coming your way as well. We'll catch you later and see you next time.